Hello and welcome. You're watching UATV News with me, Ksenia Buhai. Let's start with the latest developments. Ukraine welcomes the resolution of the European Parliament, which recommends the European Union to increase sanctions pressure on Russia and reduce dependence on its oil and gas. This was stated by Minister of Foreign Affairs of Ukraine, Dmytro Kuleba. He positively assessed the report on political relations between the EU and Russia adopted by the European Parliament members. He also thanked them for not ignoring the recent actions of the occupation authorities in Crimea, in particular the illegal arrest of the first deputy chairman of the Majlis of the Crimean Tatar people, Nariman Jalilov, and 4 other Crimeans.
Для нас дуже важливо, що одним з головних
It is very important for us that one of the main approaches that the European Parliament has defined on relations with Russia is the impossibility of returning to normal cooperation until Russia stops its aggressive policy and hybrid war against the European Union, the countries of the Eastern Partnership to which Ukraine also belongs, and until the territorial integrity of Georgia, Moldova and Ukraine is not restored within the internationally recognized borders.
The future of Ukrainian-American relations will depend on Ukraine's consistent implementation of reforms. In order to form a more inclusive society based on the respect for human rights and the rule of law, this is discussed in an article by the Washington Center for Strategic and International Studies. According to the author of the material, Ukraine should have strategic patience and continue to implement reforms. De-oligarchization will become a foundation for restoring the territorial integrity of Ukraine and the U.S. support. This fall, United States Secretary of State Antony Blinken and Ukrainian Foreign Minister Dmytro Kuleba will meet to discuss the strategic partnership between the two countries. They will sign a new cooperation charter. The previous one was signed in 2008, long before the Russian aggression against Ukraine and the creation of several anti-corruption institutions in our country.
The future of US-Ukraine relations will be based on the long, hard slog that is the Ukrainian reform process. The path forward for Zelensky is challenging, but a vigorous campaign to safeguard the integrity of public institutions and to hold corrupt actors accountable will enable him to unlock US and European assistance and opportunities for further cooperation with Euro-Atlantic institutions.
A new diplomatic format for consultations between the countries is proposed by the ambassador of Poland to Ukraine, Bartosz Cichotski. In his opinion, it is necessary to involve Ukraine, the Baltic States, as well as the Czech Republic, Hungary, Poland, Slovakia and Romania. The diplomats stress that the situation in the foreign policy arena is not changing for the better due to the completion of construction of the Nord Stream 2 pipeline, the summit of the US and Russian presidents in Geneva and the events in Afghanistan and Belarus. Therefore, this format is needed to overcome challenges jointly.
The position of Ukraine is determined by the fact that you are not in the European Union or NATO and aggression and occupation continues on your territory. At the same time, the countries of our region are victims of this bad dynamic. We should jointly find answers to those challenges, to those threats.
The draft state budget for 2022 has already been registered in the Parliament of Ukraine. It was approved by the Cabinet of Ministers of Ukraine and submitted to the MPs' consideration. According to the bill, next year the average salary of medical workers will increase by more than 50%. It is also expected to increase salaries for teachers as well as scholarships for students. There are social benefits for pensioners and the military. In general, incomes will also increase in the budget, Prime Minister of Ukraine noted. According to him, special attention will be paid to the defense sector.
Бюджет на 2022 рік не тільки збалансований.
The budget for 2022 is not only realistic, it is a budget for modernizing the country, establishing and restoring the economy, and investing in people, in their health, in education and development. Key priorities remain unchanged. These are medicine, education, the army, infrastructure, social programs, digitalization, support for entrepreneurs and the economy.
Gender equality and combating sexism were discussed at the 5th anniversary Women's Congress in Kyiv. Influential politicians, businessmen, activists and experts have proposed new initiatives to enforce equality between men and women in all sectors. Our correspondent knows more. Now Ukrainian women have the right to work in any industry. Many choose difficult professions that have long been considered male-only. However, some girls still face gender inequality and stereotypes at work. It takes a long time for men to adapt. I was definitely better when I just came. The team is new, everyone is very polite, they communicate. Of course, they do not understand why such a tender young lady decided to work in such a difficult profession. But since then, a lot has changed. There were excessive attitude, harassment and more inclinations to personal life, not official.
According to experts, many women earn less than men in similar positions. Women are denied jobs due to age or marital status. The Ukrainian parliament continues its struggle to solve those problems.
The Parliament of Ukraine passed many laws related to equal opportunities, namely the law that allows dads to take an active part in caring for a child, the law on responsibility for committing domestic violence. There are many other laws that really make Ukrainian society gender equal without dividing it into men and women.
The coronavirus has become another barrier to gender equality. Due to the pandemic, women lost their jobs and lost their businesses. Cases of domestic violence have increased significantly.
This year, we adopted a large state program named Countering Domestic Violence and provided it with full funding. This means that a woman not only knows that the state cares about her, but in fact, only the state can help a woman in a difficult situation.
Ukraine is now going through a difficult stage in achieving gender equality, politicians say. Indeed, in addition to improving legislation and combating domestic violence, it is necessary to popularize gender education among society and destroy gender stereotypes in the minds of Ukrainians. Reported by Nick Starkov, Vlada Tsurkan, UATV News.
Starting September 16th, a new structure, the State Inspectorate of Architecture and Urban Planning, controls construction and development processes in Ukraine. It replaces the State Architectural and Building Inspectorate. The infamous department was liquidated and all employees were fired. This was announced by Minister of Development of Communities and Territories of Ukraine. Unlike its predecessor, the human factor is not likely to influence State Inspectorate of Architecture and Urban Planning. All construction procedures and services have been digitized.
The whole process was accompanied by certain signs of corruption. Not a single state architectural and construction inspection worker goes to work at State Inspectorate for Architecture and Urban Planning. This is a certain position. Moreover, all employees pass the appropriate selection involving National Anti-Corruption Bureau. This is no human factor. Everything is digitalized. A unified state system in this sphere of construction is already working.
Buying a land plot is the best investment. Its price in Ukraine will increase soon. This was stated by Minister of Agrarian Policy and Food of Ukraine Roman Leshchenko in an interview with our TV channel. According to him, due to the coronavirus pandemic, food prices have risen worldwide. Therefore, the value of land grows as well. Roman Leshchenko advises Ukrainians not to rush to dispose of their land shares, but to use the land plots efficiently to lease or cultivate them.
через 3 года, через 5 лет.
In 3 to 5 years, the land will increase in value. If people have any doubts, they can analyze our neighbors, Bulgaria and Romania. And the most brilliant example was shown by the Republic of Poland, which carried out its land reform 15 years ago, and the value of land increased 10 times there. I emphasize that if we had carried out a land reform in our country 15 years ago, the cost of land in Ukraine would have been no less than in Poland and even more.
A new modern cancer treatment center is being built in Kryvyi Rih city. The high-precise equipment for radiation and chemotherapy early diagnosis of oncological diseases has already been ordered. The oncology center is being built on the initiative of the President of Ukraine. Our correspondent will tell you the details. Until recently, this place was widely empty. Construction of a new modern cancer center is in a full swing here.
The foundation of a new center adjoins the old clinic. More than 200 oncology patients attend it every day. It serves as a central clinic for 4 districts of the Dnipropetrovsk region, a quarter of a region.
На сегодняшний день в Кривом Роге.
As for Kryvyi Rih, almost 25,000 patients underwent treatment here over the past 6 months.
A new modern building will make it possible to assist a higher number of patients. According to the project, the new cancer center is equipped with a modern laboratory, CT scanners, linear accelerators, and equipment for chemotherapy and early disease detection.
It will be the first oncology facility that provides treatment along with educational function. Doctors and nurses from all over Ukraine will undergo professional training here. The center will provide round-the-clock medical assistance.
This is for the first time such a project is being implemented in Ukraine. It was initiated by President Volodymyr Zelensky. Not for nothing the city of Kryvyi Rih was chosen. Indeed, one of the highest rates of cancer illnesses is recorded here.
We all know the conditions in which Kryvyi Rih residents live. We all know that existing facilities provide insufficient assistance for the city residents. The center will start receiving patients starting next fall and help them in this terrible trouble.
The project of a new center has already been named the first social investment in Ukraine. Large iron and steel manufacturer has taken over the large part of financing its construction and equipment purchase.
We answered the call from President Zelensky and to support the construction of this oncological hospital. We invest 400 million hryvnia in the execution of this hospital.
Partly the works are backed by the regional and city budgets.
The country is rapidly changing. Along with the roads, we are rebuilding healthcare infrastructure. All this thanks to involvement of top officials and communication between the state and regional authorities.
Kryvyi Rih Oncology Center is said to become the first state clinic of the European standard in Ukraine. Reported by Nick Starkov, Natalia Gusak, UATV News.
Now, the true history of Crimea can be learned abroad. A manual on the history of the peninsula and the Crimean Tatar people in English was presented in Ukraine. While 100 copies have been printed, another 200 are being prepared as well. The books will go to Ukrainian libraries and educational institutions. The book will also be presented at the United Nations. It was published in 3 languages: Ukrainian, English, and Crimean Tatar. It is also available on the internet for free.
The manual is written in simple, understandable language. I read it, I have it at home, and it really allows us to understand the basis of what Crimea is, what is the indigenous Crimean Tatar people. This publication is very important. Of course, the fact that today the presentation is taking place in English is very important, because we really need to talk as much as possible about Crimea in the international arena so that it doesn't leave the global agenda. For this, we need to employ all possible mechanisms.
Support for talented youth. The foundation of the President of Ukraine for the support of education, science and sports starts its work. The funds were allocated by the government from the state budget. First, the prizes of the head of state will be paid to the winners of international Olympiads. That is $37,000. Payments to school graduates who have received the best results on external independent assessment will make $370 per month during the year. Funding for awards for athletes and coaches is planned as well. That's all for today. Thank you for watching. Stay tuned. More updates on our official website, YouTube and Facebook pages.